Yo, what's up, man? It's your man Tony Wiggins here with another edition of Locked On Jaguars on a Friday, the day after the game. We're at the quarter pole and the Jaguars are 0-4. We're sort of at the quarter pole. I'm going to give you an assessment of the team, talk about last night's game, and the progress that has to be made in order for them to continue to advance this year and get a win. I'll do that here on the Friday edition of Locked On Jaguars.
On Jags, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Good people, what is going on this glorious Friday, beginning of October? It feels like fall is really in the air, man. So football's already started. The Jaguars are 0-4, lost a close game last night to the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati on a walk-off field goal. No consolation prizes, though, because we don't give participation trophies. But we do thank you for participating with Locked On Jaguars today and making us your first listen. And today's episode is brought to you by Run Your Pool. Check them out today and get $10 off at runyourpool.com/lockedon or use the promo code LOCKEDON at checkout. Now, you're going to learn how to do your office pools, your family pools, you and your buddy pools to get some cash going and make it fun for yourself. So do that at Run Your Pool. All right, man. So today's show, I gave my first reaction last night to the loss at Cincinnati. And, sometimes I'm going to talk about how fans want competency. And then when you get competency, how then all of a sudden it goes, we should have won that game. You guys are idiots. So that's kind of where the Jaguar fans are right now. You want to first be competent when you look incompetent. It's almost like the preseason. Everybody wants football to start. And then after that first preseason game, about the first quarter of the game number 2 in the preseason, you're like, I'm over it. I ain't watching this no more. I can't wait until the actual games matter. So it's sort of the same way with wanting your team to look like they at least have a pulse, right? Like they're not in the mortuary. And then when they start to actually look that way and it looks like they might win a game, well, then you get greedy again. And I understand fandom. I get it, and I understand it. And for the most part, you're right. I think what it is teams just don't like fans just don't like their teams to lose on boneheaded plays. And you want the coach to be able to give your team a chance. I'm going to give you a couple of examples here in the first segment in just a second. We'll look at we're not really at the quarter pole because there's now 17 games, but 4 games is as close as you're going to get to the quarter pole without going over 25% of the game. So I'm taking a look and an assessment at the team. And then in segment 3, I'm going to tell you why it's important for Urban Meyer to watch his body language. We talk about C.J. Henderson's body language and the morbid look on his face when he does press conferences, and maybe it doesn't jive with everybody. I'm going to tell you why I think Urban Meyer's body language is important for this team to continue to try to get better. So that's what we're going to do. Talk about his body language, take a quarter pole, look at the team in the second segment. But the first segment, we're going to talk about a little bit about this game last night. Here's what people don't like about their teams. You want the coaches to give the players the best chance to win. Even if the coaches have given the players the best chance to win up to a certain point, you don't want them to be the reason why at that point it seems like things go the other way. So last night, it appeared that Darrell Bevell was in his bag. The Jaguars had a good game plan. And I want to make sure I emphasize this point. They were really impressive because they came off of a short week. They had only had 2 days of practice, and then they traveled. They played Sunday, and then they turned around and played Thursday. And for them to be a brand new team with a bunch of brand new parts, I thought they came out in the first half and were really, really impressive when you consider the circumstances. So I'll give the Jaguars coaches and their players credit for that. 2, I don't think the players have quit. I do believe these guys are getting better, and I think they're improving. And I'm going to give kudos to the offensive line for the most part and the approach that they took when they came out last night. They had a good mix of run and pass. It's just that in certain situations. So we're going to talk about being up 14-0 and having the ball fourth and goal on the 1 foot line, right? I don't mind a bad team going for it. Just like I didn't mind the flea flicker. And I know the conventional thing is you're playing well defensively, you move the ball offensively, just take the points and go up 3 scores. I get it. Totally understand. We know now if they'd gone for a field goal and made the field goal and gone up 17-0, that instead of it being a walk-off, it would have been a tie last night, right? So I think they don't believe that they're good enough that they can't score touchdowns. And I think at that point, when you're dominating, you go back to the well too many times and then you get stuck. I don't like the play call. I think the offensive line is busting them in the mouth. You got a running back that actually has a knack for short yardage. I think you go up under center, you turn around and hand the ball to your running back, and you let him pick and choose which way he's going to go, and then he sticks his head down behind those big guys that were pushing people. You make sure you go in motion. I would probably put double people out on the right-hand side to take guys out of the formation that you actually have to watch for on play action. I would do some things. I would have done some things, and I would have turned around and probably given the ball to James Robinson, because I think James Robinson is the surest thing to get you the short yards that you need. But instead, they went to Trevor Lawrence, or sort of, it's like an option play to the right side. He kept the ball, and boom, he got stuffed. Here's why I think that's a mistake. Just like last week when they tried that flea flicker. People said they're running it until the other team stops it. You see what happened last night? They ran that play to Trevor until it was stopped, but it was just stopped at an inopportune time. I don't think you run something until they stop it. I think you run something until you start to get the looks that you need, and you start to see them realizing that they have to cheat a certain way in order to stop you. And that's when I think you hit them with the hee-haw. It's just that the hee-haw, in this case, would have been giving the ball to James Robinson as opposed to Trevor Lawrence keeping it. But they still win at halftime with a 14-point lead. They come out, bip, 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 Cincinnati scores, stop, score. Good teams always score, stop, score when they're down by two touchdowns. And that's exactly what they did. Then the Jaguars had a great drive. I'm not giving you a total recap of the game. They had a great drive. Another drive where they seem to use all of their muscle, but then they can't stop anybody. So the question is, defensively, do they have the people on defense to run what Joe Cullen wants to run? I think sometimes they get in a situation where they actually think the players they have are better than they really are. Like Josh Allen is on a milk carton, in my opinion, for a guy who was considered elite or close to elite a few years ago. So here's what we're coming to. And I know we ain't going to talk draft, but I'm going to tell you right now, everybody's going to start talking about Kayvon Thibodeau. If Kayvon Thibodeau does come here, don't make Josh Allen feel like y'all made Yannick Ngakoue feel. This is what happens when the rabbit gets the gun. We got Josh Allen. We don't need Yannick Ngakoue. Really? Really? You don't? You're going to get Kayvon Thibodeau and you're going to say, we don't need Josh Allen. We got Kayvon. That's what fans do. And I always try to tell you, I try to save you some headache, man. Stop doing that. In order to be good, you need all of these guys. You need everyone. So I'm going to give you an assessment of the quarter poll and where the Jaguars are, where they are in four, so you know where they are, but where they are, what do they have to do to improve, and is this a long or short term look at things? Is it going? Which one is it going to be? Is it time to just jump off of the short term? Since I guess I'm going to tell you why I'm thinking that. The reason why I'm thinking that is because I guess progress isn't good enough for a lot of people. They want them to win. So nobody's going to even consider that progress is progress until they actually start winning. So is it a long or short-term jump that or a long or short-term thought process for fans from this point forward? And then in the third segment, obviously, Urban Meyer. So we're going to take a look at the quarter poll and find out where they are, in my opinion, and the things that they have to do and how you can possibly make this a little bit better for yourself as a fan. And we'll do all of that here on a Friday edition of Locked On Jaguars. I want to tell you something, man. I've run pools, whether it's been at the barbershop, whether it's been at the radio station, for Super Bowls. I've even done them online with my friends before. It is a pain in the butt when you don't know what you're doing, especially when guys are used to playing different types of pools with different rules. Well, Run Your Pool makes it ridiculously easy to run a football pool with friends, family, or office mates. They offer dozens of formats, including Survivor, Pick'em, Squares, Margin, Conference Pools, 33, and more. Run Your Pool hosts formats for NFL and college with one-week games, full season playoffs, or the Super Bowl. Unlike other fantasy sports platforms, Run Your Pool has options and settings to make it your own. It's not too late to start a pick'em or survival pool for survivor leagues that have already lost. We also offer revival pools where you can start your pool at a discount. Now listen to this. Week 2 was much stronger for the public, who went 10-6 in pick'em, and only 10% of the pools were knocked out in Survivor. Still, now about 1/3 of Survivor pools are finished. The revival pools are now starting. Check them out today and get $10 off at runyourpool.com/locked-on, or use your promo code locked on at checkout. Anywhere, everywhere in the world, Run Your Pool helps friends and colleagues compete. Don't miss out. The NFL season is off to an exciting start, so go to runyourpool.com/locked-on and have your pool up and running in minutes. That's runyourpool/locked-on. Make sure you guys get in on that right now, today, and get that started. Listen here, man. It's time for you to start figuring out here what it is that you're going to do with your mindset with this football team. And what I mean by that is 0-4, you already know they're not making the playoffs, right? And I don't think too many people expected that anyway. Are we still looking for progress? Or do we have this expectation that they have to win now? Where are they? Are they the worst team in the league? I don't think so. And I did think that 2 weeks ago. But I thought that 2 weeks ago, I thought there was a problem with the talent. There was a problem with the coaches. And then there was a problem with the coaches thinking that the talent was something that it wasn't. So I've seen some competence over the last few days. Now, I have my theories as to why, or the last couple of games, I have my theories as to why that exists. I kind of think Urban Meyer realizes he needs to get out of the way. Now, I know just the other day, yesterday, maybe the day before that, I said that Urban needs to have his finger more on the pulse of the team. That's true. So if you say, now, Wig, how is that not an oxymoron of him getting out of the way? I'll tell you, I'm glad you asked. Getting out of the way doesn't mean not having your finger on the pulse of the team. Getting out of the way simply means let guys do their job. You got them and you hired them, meaning the coaches. You got them and you hired them to do a job. If they do it the way you want it done, you might as well do it yourself. And if they can't do it without you meddling and without you hovering over them, then you probably shouldn't have hired them, right? And a true disaster. I don't know what works or what doesn't work, but I can tell you right now, it's unlikely to work if you don't let somebody who's fully invested get something done. Doing one thing 2 different ways is something that cannot happen. So therefore, maybe either Urban has learned a little bit more, or he's understood a little bit more, and he allows these guys to do what he brought them in to do. There's been a lot of references to the Dallas Cowboys and Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy always said he was nowhere near the best X's and O's coach on that staff. He was a motivator and a guy who put things together, and he was a talent evaluator. I think Urban needs to be more of that, as opposed to attempting to X and O everything. Let the other guys do it. You did it in college with Ryan Day and Tom Herman and Dan Mullen. You did it with other guys. I think you have to let Bevel be Bevel. And I'm not saying y'all need to be liking Darrell Bevel. I'm not even saying Urban needs to be liking Darrell Bevel. But what I'm telling you is this: you will have more chances of success if you let a guy do things that you don't like than trying to make a guy do things that you want him to do and he's not being himself. That's a recipe for disaster. It's almost like walking out of your door every day trying to make everybody happy. It's not going to happen. It's not. I think defensively, Joe Cullen needs to understand that they all need to understand this, and this is a hard reality. Josh Allen is not elite. Josh Allen was picked at number 7 and had double-digit sacks as a rookie, and everyone thought, okay, his ascension is going to be that he's going to be that double-digit threat guy every single year, and he's going to be the alpha and one of the top pass rushers in the league or in our conference. I was debating with a dude last night that he ain't better than Nick Bosa, and somebody, are you kidding me? No, it's not even close. You can ask 100 GMs or former GMs or guys in the league, is he better? He's not. He's probably a guy that on a good team needs to be the second best pass rusher, not the first guy. Okay? So we need to start treating these players accordingly. They need to understand that Tyson Campbell does not have great ball skills if they don't already understand that. So stop putting them in situations where, because if you don't, I'm going to tell you, if you don't guard against certain things, teams will exploit it. They're going to exploit it. That's what the NFL is. So where are the Jaguars? I'm torn and I'm mixed. Where are they at the quarter pole? I see improvement. But for me, the way that they played last night is the way that I thought they'd come out playing. So then I thought after 4 games that they'd be better. They know how to win and they know how to close the show against teams that aren't the quote-unquote Alabama of the NFL. Because contrary to what Urban might think, he says you play Alabama every week in the NFL. He ain't seen Alabama yet. He'll see Alabama when he goes to Los Angeles and plays Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey and Matt Stafford. He ain't seen Alabama yet. There's about 4 or 5 Alabamas. One of them is in Tampa. Probably one is in Green Bay. The team I just mentioned. On a good day, the 49ers, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Bills, Cleveland. Those are the teams that he thinks he's seen Alabama. He hasn't seen Alabama yet. Now, they need an upgrade at talent, and they need to coach as if they understand that they're not as talented. Urban keeps saying how he loves the guys in the locker room, this, that, and the third. That's cool. They're just not that good. They got some good players, but they're not that good. The offensive line, I got to give them credit. They're really good at run blocking, and Trevor makes them better at pass blocking, which he's supposed to. So that's not a knock on the offensive line. When you have a great quarterback, great quarterbacks make all offensive lines look good. Situationally, though, there was a critical play last night where Cam Robinson the guy got loose. Luckily for Cam, one of them was called back because of a holding penalty. But then late in the game, it was a very critical time when the Jaguars had the ball late. Guy got loose and chased Trevor out of the pocket. He had to throw it away. Those are things that you cannot allow to happen, especially when the guy on the other side is not elite. It's one thing if Myles Garrett does that to you. It's another thing if Hubbard does it to you. You just can't allow that to happen. Their depth is going to be tested. They were hurt last night. DJ Chark may be gone for the season with a fractured ankle, and then A.J. Cann got hurt, which Ben Barch came in and probably played pretty good because I didn't notice him. But the thing about that is now their depth is going to be pushed. This is why you don't waste off seasons. This is why you can't afford to slow roll personnel. This is why you can't be overly frugal with money when you have it. This is why you need to make sure that the guys you pick in the first, second, and third round are ready to play. You can't redshirt people in the league, man. It does not work that way. So I'm not totally disgusted with where they are. A little bit confused about where they're going to be going because it seems like they're going to have to make a decision whether or not they're going to commit money and commit resources to a bunch of guys. Cam Robinson, DJ Chark. They got to make decisions on people, and when you start making decisions on them, it's like this. I'm gonna give you a basketball analogy. When the Washington Wizards gave John Wall all of that money and made him the highest paid player in the league, it's hard for you now to add somebody who's better than him because you're already paying him to be the best player on the team. So you can give Brad Beal money, but how are you going to get a third person when you realize that both of those guys need to be the second best player on the team that wins the championship? You don't have room for it because you committed all the resources somewhere else. And the thing is, they got decisions they have to make moving forward on certain people. You can look at where you are now, but then you can look at this. If we're going to get to where we want to be, can I commit to this guy right now this much? Or is he somebody I need to upgrade? I'm going to tell you why I think the coach needs to change his body language. And it's not because I'm sick and tired of folks wondering if that body language means he's ready to quit. That's lazy. I think it's very, very important for Urban Meyer to take a look at himself and change his body language. And I'll tell you why in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars after I tell you about Built Bar. Built Bar is a way to celebrate the freedom of choice. And what do I mean by that? You can choose from 9 delicious flavors, and right now they have a 10th delicious flavor. That cookie dough chunk, that's a special edition. but you can choose from 9 delicious flavors that are covered 100% in chocolate and have healthy macros. And what I mean by that is 17 to 18 grams of protein, calories that range from 130 to 180, only 4 to 5 grams of sugar, and only 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. Order today, and you can get 15% off of your first order by using the promo code LOCKED15 at built.com. Check them out on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, go to @bar_built for all the latest and the greatest news about the best tasting protein bar you've ever had in your life, man. My favorite, my personal favorite, everyone knows, is the salted caramel. And I double dip sometimes with that raspberry whenever I have 2 in one day. So go figure out what your favorite Built Bar is. Order them, or order an assorted box, and then just do a taste test all weekend. But you can get 15% off by using LOCKED15 at BuiltBar.com. We are going to roll along here and close this Friday show, this last segment. I'm going to tell you right now, Locked On Bets is the cold-hearted truth. When you get ready to make your bets and your wagers for this busy, busy weekend, especially in college football, make sure you pop in and tune into the Locked On Bets podcast with your boy Q and handicapper Lee Sterling, so they can give you all the information you need. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and check out Locked On Bets wherever you get your podcast, on the Odyssey app, and you can subscribe there. And guess what? Just like this, it's free on all platforms, and it should be your second listen of every day, because I know what your first listen is. It's here with me on Locked On Jaguars, and we appreciate you always being here. Now, why do I think it's important for Urban Meyer to change his body language? Early in the game when they were winning, Urban had his hands on his knees and he had his head down. And then people were making jokes about, oh, here he goes, ready to quit. Oh, something's wrong with his heart. All of those jokes that they think are funny and they're not. But I think what he's doing when he does that, I think he's listening to the coaches talk about the play call. And I think he's just trying to concentrate. But I think it also looks bad. I think it looks bad to the players. I think they're always watching. They're always paying attention. I think when you're at the podium, I wanted a coach that one of the things that bothered me in the past was the Jaguars would get thumped and then guys would come up and it's still sunshine and rainbows and we're doing our best and we're doing our best. And I used to always complain about the fact that it never seemed like it hurt them enough. As weird as it is to me, and this is not me wanting to see somebody always in pain, I love the fact that these losses are absolutely killing Urban Meyer. I do. Talk about Jimmy Johnson again. They said you couldn't even speak to Jimmy Johnson on the plane when they lost the game. That it had to be totally quiet on the plane on the road. That he was absolutely disgusted by losing. I love all of that, as long as it doesn't totally take a toll on your ability to make sure you keep instilling confidence in your football team. And as long as it doesn't always look and sound as if the world is about to end, like it does seem to happen with Urban. Ain't worried about all of these dudes on the national TV talking about, is he going to quit, and people doing jokes on social media and all of that. That's not the concern. The concern to me is just, you got to have the confidence, and you have to command the reverence from people that you believe. They don't look at it as competitiveness. They look at it as, what the hell have I got myself into? I would like to see him stand up there with his chest out, not look bothered, look upset that they lost, give off the impression that, yeah, we had the expectation that we were going to win and we didn't, and this is not good enough. But I want to see you have the resolve that it's not beating you down so much, that you're just going to grab the horn and come in and go to work next week, and you're going to figure it out until you learn how to win. At some point, I need him to get angry at a player. He talked about Lambeau, and Lambeau was missing all of these extra points and kicks. Oh, you notice that everybody, like, you remember John Gruden loved everybody all the time? Like, he wanted to keep like 79 quarterbacks on his roster because he didn't want to cut them. Urban says that everybody is the hardest or the best or the most competitive person he's ever seen. Y'all notice that? At some point, here's what I want him to do. I want him to take that frustration out on somebody that drops a pass and says, you can't do that. If you, I love you, but you won't be here if you keep doing it. You can't get that penalty. That's a boneheaded play, and you got to stop. Mike Vrabel called out Julio Jones, who's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and said it was a dumb penalty. It hurt the team when Julio did something early this year. Okay, we get it. There's a bunch of great guys in the locker room. Yeah, there's a bunch of great guys that's 0-4. Are they great because most of them are guys that you picked? Them being great people, does that have anything to do with you choosing them to play on the field? The greatest person I ever knew was my grandmother. I wouldn't have picked her to play basketball with me on my team. Being great people is fine. Nobody cares when you're 0-4. If you're so great, do your job better. I care about you so much, I want you to do your job better. And if you can't do your job better, I'm going to find somebody who can do your job better. Period. Hey, personal. I'm giving Urban a pass. I want you to woosah, bro. I want you to take some of that stuff that you internalize and pass the buck of responsibility on the people that's actually playing on the field. Not the fans, not the coaches. Not talking about the coaches who can't, who are we doing this wrong? We doing that wrong. We better not do this. Not the fans and saying that it has to stop with fans coming in your stadium with all of these. No. Your boys, the ones that you love so much, those players, they have to play better. There's nothing wrong with criticizing those guys publicly. When you lose a game, you don't have to tell us how great the guys are. I assume they're all good people. Has nothing to do with wins and losses. Stop internalizing that so much, man, and blame the people. And guess what? If it's your fault, take the blame for you. Take the blame too. But you ain't gotta hurt like that, man. Like you ready to go off and start crying or something. And no, man, the hell with that. People want to see strength. It looks weak at this point. And the only reason we're saying, well, we know that it's not weakness, it's what it is he's just competitive. He wants to. Jimmy did it, but Jimmy was mad. You look hurt. This is gladiator sport, man. And those dudes, when they look at you, I assume, I've never played that game at that level, but I assume when they look at you, they need somebody to tell them what to do. They don't need somebody that looks like they need some help. Sometimes you look like you need help, man. I don't need no help trying to tell you guys to come back here on Monday and listen to Locked On Jaguars and make us your first listen, because that's what you always do. I know you're going to do it because I appreciate you. I love you. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube page, the Locked On Jaguars YouTube page. Get that thing up for me, man. Subscribe to the YouTube page, and it's free on all platforms. And we are your first listen every day here on Locked On Jaguars. Enjoy your weekend. I'm going to enjoy mine. Monday show will be an afternoon version because I'm going to be on a plane. And I'll break some stuff down for you Monday. So bye week, the Jaguars have some days off before they have to play again, and that's a good thing. But we're going to break down and have a lot of stuff to talk about. So we'll see you Monday, but we'll see you Monday afternoon here on Locked On Jaguars. Take care and keep taking care of each other. Have a great weekend, Jack.